Hello everybody, welcome to the meditation channel. Hi, how are you? How you doing? How is your week? Let me know in the comments below. It's nice to chat with you guys. I always try to reply. So, I have decided to start this series essentially explaining some of the lessons that I have learned or that I'm learning along the way, spiritually, emotionally. And really, this is for my podcast, of course. So if you're following me on Spotify, amazing. And if you're on Spotify, come and check me out on YouTube. But I really wanted to take time to sit down with you guys and essentially just be vulnerable and share certain things that I've been learning. I've been on a spiritual journey now for many, many years. I've completely transformed my life in so many ways, but I am still walking up that hill. I am still moving and shifting and healing and transforming, and I'm not quite where I want to be yet. However, I have to say that where I was to now, it's been almost a miracle, to be quite honest. So if you look back at some of my videos, some of you will know that I basically suffered from severe depression for most of my life, really bad anxiety. I was diagnosed with a panic disorder. I had addiction problems, and I was essentially miserable. I hated everything and everyone, including myself. And life was just too much. Just breathing was too much. And I know there's a lot of you out there who are going through this right now. And I want you to know that the reason why I'm talking, the reason why I'm here is because I want you to know that there is a way out of it. It does take work, it does take healing, it does take dedication and focus, but it can be done. So today I wanted to talk about triggers. I have been doing a lot better in the past few years dealing with triggers. I've been managing them fairly well. I have been, for the most part, again, we're human, right? But the other day, I had a trigger that literally surprised me, that came out of nowhere. I mean, obviously it was a build-up, but to me, it just showed up out of nowhere. And luckily, I have been developing tools over the years where I don't lash out as much, or I wouldn't get as aggressive or as crazy, because we get crazy when we get triggered. But my reaction wasn't how I normally would handle things. And I was very disappointed in myself. I was very disappointed in the way I treated this person. And more importantly, just my impulsive reaction to the situation. So I wanted to talk about triggers essentially, and the processes that I do to, number one, heal them. Number two, become self-aware, because when it comes to triggers, ultimately that's the key. The reason why you're triggered is because you don't know that there's all this emotional baggage and wounding and whatever underneath all of these layers, and it has been masked or overcompensated, or you think you've healed it and then takes one thing and you're back to being a teenager, back to being a child, back to being that irresponsible person who's apparently never done one day of healing in their life. So if this is you, I want you to know that this happens. This happens to the best of us. I mean, I'm a meditation coach. I practice spirituality and I practice healing every single day, the best of my ability. But this happened to me. And unfortunately, it happened. I don't know how else to explain it. It wasn't the end of the world, okay? It wasn't the worst thing that could have happened. But at the same time, again, I hold myself to certain standards these days. And when I step back, it's just disappointing. However, there is a huge gift in what happened. So let's get into it. To start with, the first thing that happened was that I've been having a lot of nightmares lately. Apparently, this is a thing that happens to me a lot. I unfortunately don't always sleep very well. I have a lot of traumas from my childhood. They tend to haunt me in the middle of the night. Memories from my past come up, and I wake up often just in thoughts, in painful memories. And luckily, I'm not as bad as what I used to be, where I literally could not sleep. Now I can fall back asleep, but it's still not fun to be woken up in the middle of the night with these horrible dreams and horrible memories and horrible thoughts that create a lot of pain and discomfort within my body. So that night, obviously, I had a nightmare. Trigger number one, little hint there that something's going on, because usually when I'm having nightmares, there might be some old stuff coming to the surface, or old triggers or whatever that I haven't really been like maybe addressing or healing in the moment, and they essentially just pile up. So as I got up in the morning, in the last few days, I booked a film, and I had not been receiving the script. I signed the contract by, let's just say it was last Thursday, and I assumed they were going to take a couple of days, but then, hopefully by Saturday, which usually they work on the weekend, not maybe Sunday, I would have the script in my hand, because we had to shoot Thursday. And I'm very much A-type. I need the script way ahead of time. Also, I don't know how many lines I have. I don't know how many scenes I'm in. I know it was like a supporting role, so I knew I had hopefully quite a few lines, and I like to prep. Also, I'm busy. Like, I have a rescue, I have my business, I'm teaching classes, so I wanted essentially to be as best prepared as I possibly can be, which is a professional thing for an actor to do. Now, I did my new self, which I'm like, it's all good, I don't have to be controlling, it's fine, they'll do the right thing, I trust the process. So Friday passes, Saturday passes, Sunday, I still haven't received anything. And in my mind, for some reason, I had shifted Thursday to the Wednesday. So I'm starting to panic a little bit. I'm like, God, I have 3 days. Like, what if I'm like in a lot of scenes, and then I have a lot of lines, and I have this and this happening. So I started like going down the spiral. So on Sunday, I was like, you know what? I'm going to send them an email just to remind them of the script. Sunday, I send them an email. I'm like, hey, just letting you know I haven't received the script. If everything professional, good, but it's starting to boil underneath my skin. I'm starting to get triggered. I'm noticing that I'm getting angry and frustrated with the whole thing. I don't hear back. Fine. Monday, I don't hear back. I'm like, okay, just be zen. It's okay. It's going to work out. And remember, in my mind, I'm thinking I'm shooting on Wednesday, by the way. So I'm like, oh, you know what? Just let it be. Comes to Tuesday. And this is the day that I woke up after having a nightmare the night before. Now I'm triggered. I wake up, I look at my emails, no script. I'm thinking, I have to shoot tomorrow. How am I going to learn all these lines by tomorrow? So I'm starting to like boil. Then I message my manager and I'm like, hey, this is going on. Basically, this is happening. She's basically like egging me on not to do this project, which adds a little bit of fuel to the fire. Long story short, I'm like, all right, I'm going to send them a final email. So I send them an email basically saying, this is my final warning. I have not received the script. We're shooting tomorrow. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but I need to get the script because I need to memorize the lines. And I'm not one of those actors that can just, show up and just magically spit some wisdom. So I believe that the lady then finally replied to me, and her reply was very short. It was, the shoot is not tomorrow, it's Thursday, and here's the script. She burst my bubble. I'm like, you know what? Ah, la, 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 ah, la, 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 la. She has a little fit. Goes back to Zen mode. I'm putting quotations in the air for those of you who are only listening to this. And of course, good old ChatGPT helping me out not to be mean. I basically wrote this whole email basically saying, listen, this is very unprofessional. First and foremost, whatever, even if it's 2 days, it's still not enough time for me to learn my lines. On top of that, I don't understand why you took so long to send it. This is very unprofessional, and no accountability on top of everything else. Accountability referring to her very short email. So please remove me from the project, and you need to recast the character because this obviously doesn't suit me. Again, still very professional, guys, but for me, I was mad. I was triggered. I was upset. So I send the email thinking that I'm like, whatever, I'm too good. And of course, the lady calls me, the producer. And I hear this very sweet woman on the other side, and she's like, hi, I am so sorry. I just got down to my emails. I've been blasted with emails all week. I've had thousands of messages, and I literally just got to your message now. Please, we need you. She was basically begging me to do the role. And I just sat quietly and listened. And of course, my little heart cracked open and I felt immediately guilty. And I was like, listen, I totally understand. It's just that I've been sending several emails to several different people and no one acknowledged my email. So I wasn't quite sure what was going on. And on top of that, I was like, just a little bit of feedback. Like, you should probably send the script the minute the person signs the agreement, because then you can avoid this kind of thing from happening. She's like, yeah, I understand. I was like, all right, listen, just send me the script. I'll have a look at it. And then, and then I looked at the script, and long story short, I didn't have that many scenes. They weren't that long. It was all fine. I memorized my lines. I'm actually shooting tomorrow. But I was left with this icky feeling and this shame. This like, I just didn't handle this the best way possible. Like, there's ways and ways to do things, And again, on the outside, it might have looked that I was okay. I wasn't too bad, maybe a little bit diva. But, at the same time, I try to be a kind person. I try to be really gentle and understanding. And I didn't have to say, take me out of this. And I could have just say, what's going on? Could you please explain? And then I could have explained it a little bit better. Anyway, again, not a big deal for the viewer, but this is why they're called triggers. Triggers are emotional amplifications of one's experience of a situation. So to me, this is a massive deal, but to somebody else, this might not be a big deal. Maybe to somebody else, it might be. So here's what I did then to process what happened. I started to understand that really the issue isn't about the fact that these people didn't send me the script on time or within my time frame. It really went to something much, much deeper than that. This is a very old wound, and this is what triggers are, guys. So if you get triggered easily by something, understand that it's not something that happened in the moment. What happened in the moment is a reflection of something that is unhealed in your past. It's an old wound that never got resolved, and it needs your attention to be resolved so that in the present, you don't get triggered as much. This is essentially part of shadow work. So when I started to basically assess, first mistake was when I got up, I didn't take care of myself. Number two, I wasn't aware of my state of being, even though I knew I had a nightmare and things were going on and things were boiling up. But essentially it came down to I didn't prioritize my mental health and my well-being. And how could I have done that? Well, I could have meditated first thing in the morning, which is a huge practice for me. I could have done my affirmations. I could have had a little bit of a pep talk before going through this. How do I want to show up in this situation? Instead, I allowed my fear and my ego to take the lead. Again, not as bad as what I would have reacted when I was much younger. When I was much younger, I would have flipped out. Now, obviously, I'm wiser, still human, so I'm proud of myself for not having been the old Jacqueline. However, we all have these moments, and the point is the gift in the situation. Like, well, what is the gift here? The gift is that I essentially have the opportunity now to heal a very old wound. When triggers come to the surface, it's time for you to heal it. It's your subconscious mind revealing to you that you are ready. It's showing you what the next step is, what the next layer is. And when I dug into this, really went back in time, and oftentimes I use meditation, I might use psychography, which is automatic writing. I really just went into it as opposed to running away from it. I took full accountability for the situation. I owned everything, and I sat here and I was like, what is this? Where does this stem from? And weirdly enough, a memory came to the surface, a very old memory that had been buried for a very long time. And the memory was essentially that when I was a little girl, I believe I was like 10 years old, I was in a choir. And I had a big show coming up in the church with TV cameras everywhere. It was a big deal. And I'm 10, okay? So I don't get the information. I don't know what's going on. Obviously, my parents were the ones who were supposed to be prepared for what's to come. Anyway, long story short, I show up to the event. Now, mind you, I am, to begin with, in a foreign country. So I grew up in Italy and I was from Australia. So I already felt like an outsider. I was wearing a pink, fluffy, very ugly, laid back sweater. I had a pair of jeans with sneakers, and I had a bandaged up hand because my cat had bitten me. I looked awful. I had not showered. I just looked like like an everyday kid. Everyone was super dressed up. All black and white, ties, gorgeous outfits. All of the girls were in perfect dresses. And I realized that someone here didn't get the memo. Now, if you know anything about kids, they're never going to blame the parents for what's going on. Suddenly, this was all my fault. But on top of everything else, somebody else's, now thinking about the producer who didn't send me the script, so my parents, there's a mirroring here, not considering where I'm at, not considering my needs, not putting me first, or not understanding the situation of what's going on, ended up embarrassing me. I'm the one who ended up being in front of thousands of people in a sea of black and white with this fluffy pink bandaged up outfit. And now looking back, of course, it's funny, but as a child, that is extremely traumatizing. I was so embarrassed, and I was very aware of the fact that I was different in that moment and that I did something wrong. So even though this is a very silly, I guess, memory when you think about it, but it makes a lot of sense. And of course, when you look back at other things in your childhood, I'm sure you're going to find many other links, but it made total sense to me. So when somebody else is in power who doesn't consider my needs, essentially my basic needs, which is for me to be ready and prepared so that I can fit in, so that I don't embarrass myself, so that I can show up, that was essentially taken from me. And so it re-triggered this old wound that I never dealt with, because I was very upset with my parents because they obviously didn't read the memo. And I was the one who was the face of it. So I was the one who ended up really being embarrassed, although of course people would have judged my parents for that as well, of course. But as a kid, again, you don't think that way. Everything has to do with you. It's my fault that I didn't maybe hear somebody say that there was a dress code, or I was the one who didn't pay attention. And it's my fault now that I'm in front of all these cameras that are being televised across Italy in a sea of black and white, and I am standing out like a sore thumb. It is not safe for me to stand out and be different. So all of these ripple effects started happening. So what do? So I have a lot of meditations on my YouTube channel, by the way, guys, on Insight Timer, on Spotify. I make sure that essentially anything that I do to heal myself, to help myself process these wounds, these past traumas, I tend to make a meditation. When I make them, I'm healing myself in the process. So I will try to link it. Of course, if you're on Spotify, I'm not sure how to do that, but if you're on YouTube, you can find it. The meditation essentially to forgive yourself and to let go of this memory. But any type of meditation where you go back in time and you essentially let go of that memory, dissolve that tension. But above all, it's the dots, putting the dots together, realizing that this is the root cause. And it might go even deeper than that, but this memory, I had not thought of this ever. And there's a reason why this memory came up at this time, because it was linked up to this trigger. So your mind will show you the things at the right time, at the right place, if you're listening and you're paying attention and if you take full accountability. So not blaming others, taking full responsibility, because then it's yours and then you can change it. So yeah, lesson learned. Don't be so reactive. Again, easier said than done. I'm sure I'm going to make more mistakes in the future. It's part of being human. But the most important thing is learn from your mistakes, do better next time, and be better, and heal what you can. Forgive what you can if you feel ready to. And from here, I promise you, what happens when you dissolve a shadow wound, your life starts changing. That is the greatest gift of this time, in this moment, in this lesson. These things come to the surface because they're ready to be healed. Once you heal them, guys, you make an enormous shift in your subconscious mind, which means you're opening up to new energies, which means you're opening up to better experiences. I know, that's cool. All right, guys. Well, I hope that story didn't bore you, but I committed to these videos every week, and I just thought I would share and just see what you guys thought. As always, guys, make sure to leave a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell thingy, because, you know, it lets you know whenever I post any videos or anything. Well, that's it, guys. Thank you for sharing your time with me. I hope you enjoyed this video or podcast, and I will talk to you soon. Have a magical day. Bye-bye.